I had a bit of a Rust console hot take, and I didn't even know it. Recently, I was talking about whether the console edition of Rust was playable, and I started talking about mouse and keyboard cheaters. It turns out that is a very hot subject, and my take was a little bit hotter than I thought it would be. What I want to do with this video is actually address that, sort of give some of those complaints light, and let the people who didn't agree with me be heard, because one of the things I don't want to do is just steamroll over everybody. One of the big complaints I get is people say, well, I've got a platform and I don't use it properly. I think I do, but at the same time, if I didn't give you a voice, that would be unfair, especially because there were a lot of voices this time. Not just one person telling me I shouldn't be pooping my pants on the subway, because if you can't do it on the subway, where else can you do it? Anyways, make sure you hit subscribe and let's get into it. So basically, what I said with mouse and keyboard is it wasn't as big of an issue as players thought it would be, and boy oh boy was that a hot take. So first off, let's just address the elephant in the room that someone decided to introduce. Mouse and keyboard is definitely cheating. It's not D11 trying to get around terms of service or any of that junk. No, mouse and keyboard is cheating. If you want to use mouse and keyboard, you need to go over to the PC. Otherwise, that is not an option for the console edition Rust. There's no terms of service with the PlayStation or the Xbox, to my knowledge, that says that mouse and keyboard have to be allowed for a game. So yeah, mouse and keyboard is definitely cheating. So moving on to the really big hot take, I think was, I said that a lot of people have a lot of hours, and when I was talking with D11, they said that a lot of the people who people think are cheating aren't cheating. They're just very skilled players. There were a lot of people who were very skilled players who I personally actually think are really good at the game who told me, like, Serial, you're just way off. And I guess I am. I've got to admit it. I don't have as many hours as these people do. They're saying that what they've seen is impossible, and they're saying that D11 doesn't address it, and that is the reason that people have a lot of hours. That actually makes sense. The people who are willing to cheat are probably the no-lives. They're the people who think grass is blue because they've never seen it, and they're just sitting in their basement, their mom's basement, let's get that right, hoping that somehow by some luck, they'll get big on Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube with their kill clips that show absolutely no recoil and 100% cheats. This is a fact. I've seen this before, and someone did rightly point out, or actually a lot of you pointed out, that one of the reasons that a lot of these people have so many hours is because they're the no-lives. Those are the only people that are willing to go to such extents to cheat, and because they're not being banned, of course they have a lot of hours on any account. I got to admit, I took a mindset over from the PC version Rust, where a lot of the time the cheaters, the people with hacks and all that, are the new accounts because they've been banned before and they're playing on a new account. And maybe they have 10,000 hours in Rust, but it's over 20 different accounts because they keep getting caught cheating. This is definitely not the case on the console version of Rust. So I've actually tested this out. I was going to make a video on it, but I didn't want to because it got a little depressing. I found someone on TikTok who was definitely cheating. They were advertising for a cheating device, and it looked like they were getting third-party revenue from it. They were saying, look at how great I am, blah, blah, blah. So I went ahead and I reported them to D11 to see just how long it would take D11 to ban this account. So come back in a day, still not banned. Come back in a week, still not banned. Come back in a month, still not banned. We're almost half a year later, and they are still playing on the same account. So one of the reasons that a lot of these cheaters have so many hours is because they're just not getting banned. And we can get into bans in another video because there's some that I think are fair and some that I think are unfair. But the fact of the matter is, I was wrong when I said that accounts that had a lot of hours were being accused of cheating. Maybe I was drinking a bit of the Kool-Aid, and I didn't mean to imply that cheaters could not have a lot of hours. There's definitely a lot of cheaters with a lot of hours, and a lot of people thought I was just sort of buying into what D11 was telling me. And to be honest, when I sort of went back and thought about my statements, I was. From a PR perspective, no video game is going to admit that cheating is a rampant problem unless they have a fix for those cheats. So whether or not people are cheating, I don't think it would be in D11 or the console version of Rust or basically any video game developer's best interests to admit that that is the case. I took that statement to be a literal statement. I took it to be a matter of fact. Whether or not it is up to all of you to decide, but I decided that it was. But that's one of my weaknesses. Anytime I'm listening to these like murder cases or anything like that, it's like the killer's caught with blood on his hands, a knife that he's holding, he's got a face mask on, and he's like, well, I was just trying to help. It was cold outside in the middle of summer, so I had a face mask, of course. The knife I picked up to fend off the killer, and the blood was from helping the victim. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And they're like, who's the victim? And the guy's like, well, I don't know. And there's no security footage of him, just this guy. And I'm like, well, unlucky. That guy was unlucky, but he's definitely not the kid. Like, somehow I just buy into these stories. Anytime I hear about atrocities or anything like that, and people are like, well, are you sure this person knew it was happening? I'm like, yeah, maybe they didn't know. I'm gullible like that. And I think that might have played a hand into this, where I just took the 11 at their word, when the fact of the matter is I have no statistics, I have no facts, I have no information to back that word up. In fact, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And some people rightly pointed out that there's certain moves that you cannot do with the controller, you can do with the keyboard, and there are people on the console version of Rust doing that. I did not mean to imply that there are no cheaters whatsoever. There's definitely a lot of cheaters. And when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to TikTok, when it comes to clips, you're going to see more cheaters there. And the reason for that is because there's money behind it. If I decided to do kill shot compilations or raid compilations or anything like that, it would actually start to make sense for me to cheat if I really cared about the money. I'm going to get more money showing amazing gameplay than I am showing this mediocre gameplay, or less than mediocre gameplay that I'm showing right now. I hope that my personality is enough, but let's face it, sometimes it's not. There's a lot of people who duck out of these videos because they just don't like what they're seeing. If I cheated and I kept telling people I didn't cheat, there's a lot of people who would buy that. There's a lot of people who would say, hey, Serial's just really good at the game. He's a professional. He has a lot of hours. And that would be me lying to you. And there's a lot of content creators that do that. I've spoken out against it, but there's not much you can do. There's a lot of people on the PC that are content creators that do the very same thing. I know a lot of people are saying, Serial, is this true? You're going to expose anyone? Not, because I don't have concrete proof. I've talked to certain sponsors, certain people who have offered me things and said that other content creators use those things. And that's as far as I can go into that. It would just be all hearsay, so I'm not going to get any further into it. But basically, there's a lot of people that cheat because there's a lot of money behind it. What I'm trying to say is, let's throw out content creators and just go down to the average person playing the console version of Rust, because most of you listening probably aren't content creators. I know there's a few of you out there, keep up that grind. And most of you that, actually all of you that I've talked to, I know you're not cheating. I've watched your clips. You're better than me, but not that good. And yeah, that is a compliment, because no one is as good as a player with scripts and a mouse and keyboard. So moving on, what I mean to say is, does the average player cheat? Personally, the side of me that sees a serial killer and thinks he might be another victim probably doesn't believe that there's a lot of cheaters in Rust. Anytime I get killed, I think it's because my skill isn't good enough. I think I'm not good enough. I played that wrong. I could have got the jump on them in a different way, and that's true. I expect everybody to outgun me when it comes to recoil, so I try to rely on game sense. If you have a really good game sense and that is the only thing you're looking to correct when you get into an engagement, one of the things you're going to do is you're just going to throw out how good someone's aim is. My assumption is that they're just going to be better than me, so I don't even think about whether or not they're cheating. A lot of you, though, did. And from what you're saying in my videos, there's a lot of cheaters. What people are saying is every server has at least a handful of cheaters. Most Zergs have at least 1 to 2 cheaters, and there are whole clans that basically run mouse and keyboard all day long. Whole clans running mouse and keyboard I could definitely see, because one of the things you get is, as more and more people around you openly cheat or obviously cheat, you start to normalize that more and more, to the point where you're thinking everybody is cheating. Then it's not even that hard of a jump for you to go ahead and go buy one of those devices that allows you to cheat. So what I'm going to do is tell you here today, if you ever come against me and you see that my recoil is horrible, or if you look at these videos and you see that my recoil is horrible, go to some other videos and notice that a lot of people have horrible recoil. This is because a lot of people don't cheat. If you're one of the people out there who thinks everybody cheats, it's just that you are surrounded by people who have, for whatever reason, convinced themselves that cheating is okay. I could go ahead and call them scumbags or anything like that, but I don't know them. I don't know the situation they're in. I don't know why they decide to do this. Maybe they've got a rough life at home and this is the only outlet that they have. I assume that about a lot of people who go to such lengths. I assume that for whatever reason, whether they're looking for a way out of a horrible situation through content creation, or whether they're just looking to relieve some steam, they got to the point in life where that is what they needed to do. But despite what people have said on my videos, I don't think that cheating is the norm. That said, I will admit that cheating is a lot more widespread than I probably think it is. And that's because I'm gullible and sometimes I'm just an idiot. Anyways, though, I do appreciate everybody keeping it real, and I wanted to make sure that I gave voice to everybody's complaints. Hopefully I was able to do that adequately in this video. Let me know what I got wrong down below in the comments. Until next time, peace.